Hey guys, this is Courtney from Cosmic Clarity Astrology, and I'm back for another forecast, this time for the Leo new moon that is happening on August 4th. You can see here at 12 degrees, 34 seconds of Leo. So, what is this new moon about? Well, Leo has a lot to deal with our personal expression, and it is the sign that is most acquainted or is basically ruled over, if you know what that means, by the sun. And so Leo and the sun have these similar qualities of shining really bright, of representing a lot of our passion, our purpose, our innate gifts, our innate nature that we desire to again express or actualize. And so whenever we see a Leo new moon, there's usually some kind of opportunity for us to grow in terms of our goals or our expression of our nature. And I say goals because usually it's the things that we desire. This is a fire sign, which rules over our desire nature. Usually it's the things that we desire that we make goals out of, that we try to achieve something with or put it out there in the world in some kind of way. Or at the very least, we do it for ourselves, where we are creating something that feels like an extension of us, or we're doing something that we've always wanted to do since we were a child. And Leo does also very strongly correlate with children, with teaching as well. I see a lot of people in the teaching industry have strong Leo in their charts. So those themes can come up really strongly around this time as well. The idea of essentially leadership, kind of guiding somebody else over something that you have become masterful in, is a very Leo type of theme. So what does this new moon have to deal with? Well, I had a lot to say already about self-expression, and really I feel like there's something here where we've always wanted to do something, or we've had some kind of dream for a while that we have maybe been like a little bit putting on the back burner, or we've maybe worked on it a little bit with this Four of Cups. But the Four of Cups is also kind of somebody who maybe they work on something a little bit here and there, but they're also more so fantasizing about it. They're dreaming about it. They are having kind of a little bit more like inactive, kind of restful. And the Four of Cups can also indicate that there may have been more opportunities or ideas that they had to take action that they didn't fully commit to. And this Leo new moon, I feel like, is telling us that it's time to step out of that inactive kind of wishful energy and into a more engaging role where we are saying yes to something in life, where we are either trying to promote ourselves and create an opportunity for ourselves, or we are being more aware of where those opportunities are and trying to act on them and not just be too scared, basically. So I definitely see that with the Eight of Pentacles. This is our time to kind of put in the work, to do the thing, and to actively promote ourselves in a way that gets us out there, because Leo is not always, but it can be a more extroverted sign, and even more so at this new moon, because this new moon is making a sextile to this Jupiter and Mars in Gemini. So Leo and Gemini mixture together is quite social. And even if you don't consider yourself a social person, this is a time when our energy is meant to be more extroverted, more out there. This could be getting to know people, promote yourself in some way. It kind of depends on what you're interested in, what you feel like maybe you've been not taking as much action on it as you could. That will determine kind of what your actions look like at this point. So for example, let's say you've always wanted to, be with a partner, or write a book or run a marathon. Those are things that you might, make different decisions to put yourself out there a little bit more in the community, to join a running club or to join, a dating program or whatever. I don't know. Or to, if you're wanting to create something, to kind of join some kind of community that does writing, or you even have your friend kind of track your writing progress or write with you. There's a sense of kind of camaraderie, coming together, having other people witness you, doing it with another person, doing it in the community, promoting yourself in some way, trying to connect with others. Again, it's like put yourself out there. This is not the time to be in your room working on something solo, dreaming about it, trying to create a plan. That's not what this is about. This is about, let's hit the ground running. Let's take these ideas that we've been simmering for a really long time and make them into actions and create something out of this. And I feel like it's going to be a really powerful time if we are willing to kind of get up and get moving and not let our fears kind of get in the way of our ability to create success for ourselves. During this new moon, Jupiter is making a square to Saturn. You can see Jupiter 15 Gemini, Saturn is here at 18 Pisces. These two planets are kind of like the middle tier planets in the sense that they are societal planets. They are not as personal as some of the closer planets to us, but they're not as kind of spiritual as the really far away planets like Pluto or Uranus, for example. So these middle tier planets, these social planets, they really help us build society. That's why they're social planets. And so when they come together, they really are powerhouses because they are able to tie in Jupiter, which is the whole vision for how things should look, the philosophy for why it should look that way, and the whole purpose behind why we're doing this, as well as tying in Saturn, which has the more kind of material reality of things, like, okay, this is what we have to think about. We have to, not skip any steps. We have to make sure that we have X, Y, and Z. We can't forget that we have to get this legal document signed in order to do this. So it kind of makes sure that all of the restrictions of material reality are listened to and are overcome or achieved along with the vision. And because these planets are in hard aspect, it means that we are able to bring our vision to reality, but there could be some friction. At times, especially with Jupiter in Gemini and conjunct Mars, there can be a lot of ideas, and it can be sometimes hard to synthesize it, to make it into something really practical and usable for people. Because Saturn is also in Pisces, Saturn might be struggling a little bit in terms of what that, its normal nature, because Pisces is a sign that also tends to struggle to, look at like the reality in front of it. Instead, it's much more of an imaginative sign, and it can see limitless potentials. So there's kind of a lot of that energy of dreaminess, of inspiration, of things that are exciting to us, but also that we haven't fully acted on, or, it's kind of like we have a big, I'm almost seeing like a bunch of ideas or things like a cloud over us. And then we have to create a compact container and somehow siphon all of those ideas into that compact container. We have to make it all fit. We have to make it all work in a cohesive way. And it kind of has to shrink down in a way. And that can feel sometimes a little bit uncomfortable for both Gemini and Pisces as signs, as well as for Jupiter receiving this kind of restriction from Saturn. So there can be some level of, the ideal not matching the reality of the situation, either with a person or with a goal that you have or something that you really want to create or express. You might just find that, again, the dream doesn't live up to the reality, but that's okay. And I think that level of discomfort in that process of translating something from the imagination to the material realm may be uncomfortable, but is super, super worth it. And I do definitely feel like this is something that we've been wanting to do since a long time, like something that's kind of been innate within us always. And maybe we didn't know we had this gift or this desire always, but it's something that I think you can, if you really look back at the signs, you can see that all the signs were kind of pointing in this direction. So there's basically this initiative at this new moon to follow your passion, to follow the things that have always lit you up or that you've been kind of naturally enlivened by, that feels like an expression of who you are. And it's time to not just follow them, but to become committed to them with this vow card, to really dedicate yourself to them and not make any more excuses. And that is something that I feel like could come up around this time, because Venus is also in Leo, but it's at 29 degrees. And if you've heard my channel, if you've seen videos on my channel, you likely know that 29 degrees is called a critical degree or anaretic degree of crisis in astrology, which basically means when it's at the last degree of a sign, you're kind of at the last push before you move on to the next sign. You have to learn this lesson. You're put to the test around that sign before you can move on. So with Venus at 29 Leo, also making this quincunx to Neptune and quincunx to Pluto and squaring Uranus, there's kind of a lot going on with Venus. And Venus, for everybody, has a lot to deal with, especially in Leo, like how other people see us. So our pride, our ego can kind of get in the way, our appearance, or, you know, if we're willing to take a hit in terms of reputation, for example, that those things can all really come into play. That can kind of hold us back from taking the necessary action, because maybe we have some fear that somebody will view us some way or will fail and it will turn out this way or that way. And so it kind of inhibits our ability to move forward. Also, Venus in general has a lot to do with comfort and things that we do for pleasure. So if we are trying to express some side of ourselves that feels very truthful, that feels like it hasn't been expressed before, there could be some level of like laziness or a comfort zone with Venus that tries to hold us back. But I think it is really more so based off of our fears, that there's some kind of fear that we're not wanting to confront. And with Venus squaring Uranus, I really think that this is a time to see the truth in that, to see how we've made excuses about things, or we have kind of distorted reality to fit our narrative of, oh, why we can't do something, or why something isn't possible, or why we haven't achieved it yet. And we're really just kind of coming to terms, I think, in a harsh reality, a harsh kind of like, you know, time to face the music way, where we're seeing how those excuses have led us here and how that's not actually true, how we could make this happen, how there's really nothing in the way but ourselves and our own fear. And I think that this is a time to be kind of moving past that and really starting to embody this kingly energy that is Leo. Leo, again, it's the king. It's this ruled by the sun, which is the king of the zodiac. It is a sign about leadership, about impact, and about being of service as well through the things that you create or through the things that you kind of rule over as a king. And so I think many of us, it's time to step up in our life in some way. It's time to embody more of that kind of badass leadership energy. There's something that we're meant to take hold of, that we're not meant to make excuses for anymore. We're meant to be taking action, putting ourselves out there, promoting ourselves, and vouching for ourselves in some kind of way, connecting with others in order to create that support system, or again, to promote. And I don't mean promote like, I mean promote in a lot of different ways. So promote obviously can be for businesses, but I really just mean that if there's something that you're doing, you are sharing that message. You are telling other people that you're doing it. You are getting other people involved. You're asking for advice, or you are leading other people in it. There's a sense of ownership over something and outreach that I think is really important for this Leo new moon. And that's kind of what I mean when I say promotion. So this is a time to concretize our dreams and our reality. There's no more excuses, no more BS. We're seeing the truth of how that has kind of maybe slowed us down in a way that's super unnecessary. And I think it's really about having hope, like having faith that we can do this. And that's why I think this new moon is sextiling Jupiter and Gemini. It's about seeing the potential and the possibilities. Why can't I have this? Why can't I do this? And then Saturn comes in with a square and says, well, these are the reasons why you haven't been able to achieve this so far. What realistically can we do to make time for this and actually achieve this? So maybe that means getting up a little bit earlier. Maybe that means taking some kind of risk or some kind of chance on something relationally that you haven't done before. Maybe that means that you have to develop a greater self-belief. And that means maybe doing affirmations or putting in certain work to develop the skill that you haven't done yet, so that you have irrefutable evidence of why you can succeed, why you're so great. So there's a sense of really building up the skill, doing something well, expressing ourselves in a way that we've really been always innately drawn to. We have this innate talent in, and not making any more excuses for why you can't have that thing or do that thing, and drawing in other people to support you. And this moon card really talks about uncovering the emotional aspect of things. So being really aware of the subconscious part of you that is maybe running from it or fears it or doesn't feel like you can do it. It's uncovering that and facing that in a way that will help us really see that we don't have to be afraid of that anymore. We also have the Mask card. We also have this Mask card, which I thought was super Leo, because Leo is all about performance. And I just wanted to read what this card says, at least a little bit. Okay, it says, the persona, the performance, the reveal. We often think of a mask as something that conceals our identity, yet contemplate the possibility that the mask permits our true identity to be revealed. It allows. The mask gives voice to that which was previously rejected. When this card appears, enact the side of you that is seeking expression, yet was never given a role to play on the stage of your life. So that is super, super, super Leo. It's like creating a space in your life where you can play out some of these natural desires, or express this part of yourself that you've always wanted to express, not hold that back. And this could be in any type of way in your life. This could be within a relationship, within a creative side of yourself, an athletic side of yourself, a business side of yourself. It doesn't matter, but there's something that needs an outlet. And potentially, with all this Leo energy, needs to be, again, seen or witnessed by others so they can appreciate, admire it, celebrate you. And so that you can see your true impact, your true service on others by doing what you're doing, by expressing something that you're really interested in, that you're really naturally good at. So that is what I'm seeing for this Leo new moon. Let's go ahead and dive into what this is going to look like for all of the signs. I'm not sure if I'm going to make this video as a single video or separately. Regardless, you can find the timestamps or the links for the other videos down below. And I hope you guys have a beautiful one. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share with your friends. Bye. All right, up first we have Aries, rising, and sun. So for you guys, this Leo new moon is happening in your 5th house. And I'm going to have a few messages for you, because obviously not one thing is going to relate to everyone. But if you haven't watched the overview, definitely check that out. This is a new moon where we are meant to be fully expressing something that we have kind of been sleeping on a little bit, or we haven't given it our all, or there's some kind of way that we need to put ourselves out there, promote ourselves in some kind of way around this thing, or ask for other people's help, some kind of outreach. And this is especially true for you guys because this is in your 5th house, which already has that kind of social quality to it. And this moon is also sextiling Mars and Jupiter conjunct in your 3rd house, which is in Gemini. So very social, extroverted energy, very much about kind of getting your name out there, talking to people, asking for things that you want, or meeting up with people and doing that thing with them, building up some kind of skill. There is a specific message I have where I feel like some of you guys, this could be related to love and relationships. And I see that because the 5th house is very much associated with dating. And I also pulled the Lovers card, which is also about relationships oftentimes. So we have the 5 of Wands, the Lovers, and then the 3 of Wands. So there's something going on here where I feel like you guys might unknowingly have some kind of resistance going on to relationships. And I see this with the Ocean card. Like there's something in your life that I feel like you actually don't realize, that your subconscious might have quite a bit of quite a bit going on within it that could at times create a little bit of internal conflict. With this Ocean card, it talks about deep desires, long held desires that are really deep within our soul. And so I feel like there's something that you guys really want, that you've wanted for a long time. But I think that there are also subconscious programming, beliefs, or something of that nature that might also make you feel like you can't have it, or that if you have it, X, Y, and Z would happen. Or yeah, like there's another part of you that I think is resisting it in some way. So let me give a relationship example. let's say that you really think you want a relationship, but once you start putting yourself out there, you notice that maybe you get anxiety, or that you don't actually put yourself out there in the way that you could, and or that you kind of cut things off really soon, or you have a lot of doubt, or whatever that is. And you start to uncover and peel back the layers and realize that maybe I have an association with the belief that if I'm in a relationship, I'm going to lose sight of myself. I'm going to lose this progress that I've made in my life. I'm going to feel less free, or less independent, or less strong, because that's how things have gone in the past. And there's a subconscious belief that is resisting the idea of entering into the relationship. So there's something here where I feel like you guys are meant to be embarking on this new journey that feels super exciting, super like a soul match with someone or something. But I think that there is also some kind of internal resistance. It's like you really want it, but you're also, another part of you equally has fear around attaining that thing for whatever reason. So it's not going to be relationships for all of you. So you can kind of plug in whatever fits for you in particular. The fifth house can have to deal with children. The fifth house can have to deal with going on certain trips, having your dream body, or having a good sex life or dating life, starting a creative hobby, or writing, or doing something that you've always wanted to do, traveling. If I can't remember if I mentioned that already. It's just basically doing something that feels like really pleasurable. Even I often see people starting businesses with the fifth house being highlighted, businesses that feel like passion businesses. So there's something here where I feel like you guys have been really not realizing that you are fighting against yourself in some kind of way. And so ultimately, I feel like this new moon is about having the realization with Venus squaring Uranus in your second house. It's really realizing how you maybe have like why you've maybe played certain things safe, because the second house has a lot to deal with, where we are trying to survive, we're trying to maintain, we're trying to do stuff on our own. And with Venus in the fifth squaring Uranus the second, I think you're going to start to see and realize how there can be some how that has held you back in some kind of way. There is some level of comfort zone there, or survival instinct there, that has held you back. Jupiter's in the third squaring Saturn and Pisces in your 12th. This is going to help you see the subconscious beliefs around why that survival instinct has been kicking in. And with that, Venus squaring Uranus, I think you're going to get the truth behind all of this. And with this ending with the Three of Wands, this is kind of like the spur to like get you going, to get outside of your comfort zone, to take some kind of risk or go on some kind of adventure. And I think that going on this adventure will help you work out some of the internal resistance. So let's say this is talking about love, for example. This is you going on a few dates and noticing how taking that chance or taking that leap with someone or something helps bring up the resistance for you to work through, for you to recognize that the beliefs that are underlying it and process that, so that you don't feel like you're stuck, or that you don't feel like you are in that kind of survival mode. So that is what I'm seeing for you, Aries. I hope this resonates. If it does, please let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe, share with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, I'm next to have Taurus rising and sun. For you guys, this new moon in Leo is happening in your fourth house. And any new moon in the fourth, or especially full moon, but in this case, it's a new moon, can bring up some emotions, because the fourth house is a typical like water house or house of the feelings. And I did pull the tear card. So to me, this is saying that there's something around your emotions that you're meant to be witnessing at this time. And if you haven't watched the overview, definitely make sure you do that, because that plays in a huge part of this. But basically, this Leo new moon has a lot to deal with us expressing some part of ourselves, or doing something that we've been wanting to do that we haven't fully been engaging in. And I really see that for you guys. And I think that there's quite a lot of emotions here that you need to understand in order for you to actually make some headway or some progress. With the self card as well, there's something here with the self where you could be finding yourself mirrored in another. So maybe you could get triggered, for example, because somebody says something and it mirrors something within you that has been preventing you from feeling like you can move forward. Or maybe someone in your life is, yeah, maybe you just know someone or see something that reflects how you feel about something without even realizing that's how you feel about it. Another way that another message from this could be that we are meant to be taking stock of ourselves right now, witnessing ourselves, witnessing our emotions, and trying to understand them kind of from this bird's eye view, from that witness perspective, rather than from the lens or through the lens of the emotions themselves. So this could be a time where you kind of hover over yourself and analyze, why did I have that reaction? Why did I feel that way? Where is that coming from? Instead of kind of investing into the feeling or the thought and perpetuating it, it's like, let me observe and understand what's happening. And the fact that this new moon is sextiling Mars and Jupiter and Gemini in your second house will help you get that kind of more detached, logical perspective, that analysis, that witness, that part of you that wants to understand rather than just feel and react, which can be sometimes like a Leo quality. A fire sign quality or a water sign quality can be more reactive. And so this is a time where that wisdom from Jupiter can help us kind of zoom out and understand the larger context, see ourselves in the larger picture, and choose a little bit more consciously how we want to move forward and what those emotions might be teaching us, how we can utilize them to kind of help us navigate our decisions, but not let it get in our way. And this could come up in relationships with the Temperance in reverse. It could indicate that you and somebody else have differences in perspective on something, which could create some element of imbalance or tension within yourself, which could draw some of those emotions to the surface. Another way that this could come about is that you may be just prone to general excess right now anyway. So this could be coming purely from yourself, where you could be kind of indulging in something and not really working on the things that you said you would with the Seven of Pentacles. Like, I'm going to party a lot, or I'm going to drink a lot, I'm going to travel a lot, I'm going to spend a lot. And it's like you're putting a lot of energy and focus and attention, maybe not into the thing that you said you were going to do or you said you were going to finish. And so I feel like regardless if it's coming from inside of you or from somebody else, there is some level of resistance to accomplishing something, to finishing something, following through with something that you said you're going to do, kind of working on something that has a long timeline. This doesn't feel like a short, I just have to do that really quick. It's like I'm taking the next step on a long journey. And maybe there's some emotions that come up around that because of whatever reason, maybe someone else doesn't agree with you on this journey, or maybe you are, maybe you have your own kind of fears around success or what could happen. Yeah. And so it's obviously that's going to be unique to every individual, but there's some level of resistance that's happening here. And I think you could be, again, creating a little bit too much imbalance or excess in your life instead of doing the things that you said you were going to do and follow through with them. With Venus in your fourth squaring Uranus in the first, it's time to get real about your personal contribution to this. So even if this does indicate that there are other people involved, it's super important that you understand how you are contributing to you not having this thing or taking steps on this thing. I think that's why I pulled this self card and why Uranus is in your first house of the self. So it's like having this truth and this realization that you could move forward with this Chariot and the Wheel of Fortune. This is saying you could absolutely move forward. You could take steps. You could feel like you're making progress, like your life is improving. And maybe you have in the past done some of that, or maybe you sometimes are and sometimes aren't. But there's a sense that you could be doing more. You could have what you want. But we end with the Seven of Wands in reverse, which is somebody who's like, oh, I'm just going to give up. Like, that person's pushing back, so I'm just not going to try to follow through. I'm going to make a compromise. I don't have to do this thing. I can do it a little bit more your way. And there's a sense of that's not really like helping you. And I think that this is something that you want, and compromising on something that's really important for you is a sacrifice, not a compromise. And I think you're kind of getting worn down by whatever this is. If this has to deal with somebody else or some other part of your life. For example, if one part of your life, you know, if this new thing that you want doesn't fit into another part of your life, it's like you making a compromise is actually you sacrificing it. And there has to be another way. With this Venus squaring Uranus, you have to be willing to shake up your life a little bit and understand that there's a way to make this work. There is a way to accomplish what you want. And I think a lot of it is going to take some, again, a lot of self-awareness around your emotions, because I think that the conflict here is drawing a lot of an emotional response from you, and that is ultimately the thing that's preventing you from taking steps forward and leaning you towards excess or imbalance in your life and not accomplishing or moving forward on that long-term goal. So this is a time to, I would say, not bend on what you want. Ultimately, there's a way to make it work. And I think it's going to start off a lot with you becoming extremely self-aware first and recognizing where you maybe have to make changes to yourself and your life in order to make this happen, and how emotional responses shouldn't be getting in the way of that. So that is what I'm seeing for you, Taurus. I hope that that resonates, or I hope that helps you. If it does, please let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe, share with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, up next we have Gemini rising and sun. So before I hop into the Leo new moon that's happening on August 4th for you, I did want to let you know that I see a spider in this room that I didn't see for the other groups. So there may be something relevant to spiders, to the number of legs that they have, to what they create, which has to do with weaving our own creation. So that could be relevant for this reading. Okay, so if you haven't watched the overview, definitely make sure you go ahead and do that now before I get started. I'll wait in case you need to do that. So this new moon is happening for you in the 3rd house, which is where you have Leo. It is also making a beautiful sextile to Mars and Jupiter in your sign in the 1st house. So what this means is that this is a time where you guys are needing to commit to something for yourself. There is a sense of believing in yourself, of being brave, of taking some kind of chance on yourself and feeling like, yes, I can do this. Yes, I can put myself out there in this way, ask for this promotion, go after this thing, create this thing. Whatever it is, it's something that you want, that you've maybe always wanted. This is your time to say yes and go out and grab that from life. And because this is in the 3rd house, this has to do with your mindset. So there's something here where you have to kind of create this irrevocable mindset, this unchangeable mindset of, I will have this, I will do this, I will accomplish this. And I get that from this card, the vow. It's this sense of, I am making a promise and a vow to myself, and there is no wiggle room. There is no excuses, ifs, ands, or buts. There is a decision. It is made, it is done. And now there are the actions and consequences as a result of that decision. And my Geminis, that is not the easiest thing for us, because oftentimes there are so many options, so many things that excite us, and it can be hard to narrow things down. It can be hard to make a commitment and a decision to something. And that is what this new moon is about for you. There is some kind of decision that involves the physical reality with this Ace of Pentacles. This could be you deciding to get a really good bod because Jupiter is in your 1st house, Mars is in your 1st house right now. It could be a very energizing time. I think very adventurous, energizing time in general. So that could translate on a physical level. This could translate into doing something like traveling, doing something with business. These Mars and Jupiter together really have a lot of these themes. Taking some kind of risk or chance. There could also be some type of relational advancement as well. But regardless of what it is, it's something that has a physical effect on you. A physical person in your life, a monetary result that comes from something, a physical change in your body, whatever it is, it's something that will change you or your life on a physical level in some kind of way. And it's time for you to act on it. It's time for you to commit to that opportunity. And it's even possible that an opportunity could come to you. So you could have an idea or news come to you. But I feel like this is something that's not new. I think that this is definitely something that we've been wanting to work on. And with Jupiter in your first house and Pisces, or Saturn and Pisces in your 10th house, this is a time that we have to kind of mold ourselves, basically. With Saturn in the 10th, this is very much about the long game, about our long-term goals and making ourselves the kind of people that can achieve those long-term goals, believing in ourselves, but also putting in the work to make it happen. So I very much see that this is a time where you could advance some kind of way in terms of goals or career, or even sometimes this has to do with marriage for some people, like reputation, changing your name, involved in marriage. That's all very much in line with that. I pulled the Justice card next to that Ace of Pentacles. So there's something here where I feel like it's probably a long time coming. Jupiter did recently move into your sign. So maybe you've been struggling with things, or you've been really working hard on something and you haven't seen results. Jupiter moving into your first house can indicate that you're finally getting a break. You're finally getting results. Things are finally flowing. It maybe feels easier. You're having some kind of breakthrough. Again, maybe some kind of opportunity coming to you that's long awaited, long deserved. Another message I have with this is really being fair with yourself. This is a card around integrity and justice. And sometimes we can be really hard on ourselves. Sometimes we can feel like we have to accomplish so much more just to even be worthy of little results. You know, we have to do so much or be so much just to get a little crumb of what other people maybe feel like they're entitled to. And this is a time to feel like you are fair with yourself, that, you know, I deserve this because I put this into it. And I can see the karma, the wheel spinning with that, where things kind of even out. And so it comes back around. I think you're also realizing that you need to be that way with yourself, that you realize that you deserve the things that are coming to you. I do feel like there is a difficulty with some elements of your past, and I can really see that with Venus squaring Uranus in the 12th. The 12th house is where a lot of emotions and things are stored from past experiences, even sometimes past lives, where we have maybe a bit of fear, like a fear of loss, a fear of losing like parts of ourselves, losing control, losing sight of what's important, losing things that we really love. There's a sense of like, I don't want to be disappointed. I don't want to feel, you know, depressed or out of touch with myself. And there can oftentimes be events in our past or in a past life that leave such a strong mark on us that when you try to take a step forward and do something new that has similar energy or that has similar level of investment or risk, it can bring up those fears of, what if I lose? What if this time it doesn't work out like it did that time? And I really feel like you guys are coming out of this energy, and it could be, even if it's not related to that, there could be an energy of self-sabotage, of, again, I was disappointed by things before, or I don't know if I can do this. And I feel like you guys are coming out of that energy with the 8 of Cups and 5 of Cups reversed. You're getting out of kind of this more negative hole, it feels like, where you're not letting those feelings get you down. You're overcoming them. You're surpassing them. You're realizing that it's a time to believe in yourself. It's time to have faith again. It's time to realize that this is a new time, that it's not the past, or that it's not what you fear, and that you can go out and believe in yourself and make something happen that you really are committed to with this vow card. Even if it takes time with the square to Saturn in the 10th, even if there's some delays or some things you have to overcome, that's not a no. That's a slight little road bump that helps you build stamina and even build greater conviction in what you're doing. So that is what I'm seeing for you, Gemini. If that resonates, I would love to hear from you down below. Please also don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and share with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, up next we have Cancer, rising, and sun. This Leo new moon is happening on August 4th in your second house. And it's also making a beautiful sextile to Mars and Jupiter in Gemini in your 12th. So with a new moon in your second house, generally there can be a time where things can become a little bit more solid. The second house has to do with our material reality, things like our money, our home, how we take care of the things that are really important to us, how we value things and maintain things. And it's funny because I pulled the Sustainer card, which very much has a similar theme of Taurus second house, of sustaining, of maintaining, of even cultivating or growing what we have. So there's something here where I feel like there's a message around needing to be able to sustain the efforts with something or to sustain something itself. So let's say, for example, this is talking about money. This is making sure that you are taking part of your money and putting it towards savings so that, yes, you can spend some, but you're also saving some and being able to sustain yourself long term and have kind of this solidness, right? Where I have money in the bank. I am going to be okay. And this could also be talking, which I think is more about actions, where we are needing to maybe sustain a project, sustain a goal, sustain a vision, and not kind of like change our mind or our direction. And this doesn't have to just be a project, but it could be to any area of your life where you need to commit to something and have action towards it. I feel like there's something in your life that there's two really strong messages. One here is a really very strong need to sustain, and another is to let go, which really falls in line with the whole Scorpio and Taurus axis in astrology. Scorpio is around release, Taurus is about sustaining, and so, or holding on to things. And so I feel like you guys are needing to come to terms with both parts of this cycle, and super key. And one of the reasons I say that is because I pulled this Death and the Eight of Cups, which is about some kind of ending and walking away from something. And with this new moon sextiling Mars and Jupiter in the 12th, which is the house of endings, I feel like you are growing somehow by releasing something, by finishing something up, or saying no to something, walking away from something, leaving some kind of commitment behind, or leaving something behind that feels like it's stagnant, that feels like it's old, dead weight, holding you back. It could even be a habit, a thought, a pattern, an action that you're doing that is really just kind of like not helping you basically in your life. So this is the need to let go something, abandon something, not commit to that thing anymore, not think about that thing anymore, put time and energy to it anymore in the name of growth. Because Mars and Jupiter in the 12th, it's not just about letting something go for no reason. It's about letting something go through the process of feeling inspired by something that wants to grow within you, that wants to move forward, that wants to progress, that wants to energize you. And so there's a sense of I'm leaving something behind so that I can commit more fully to what really matters to me, so that I have energy for something that has purpose and potential and longevity for me. And I really see this also with Jupiter in the 12th squaring Saturn in the 9th. There's something that I feel like you're working towards that has a why, that has a meaning, that has a overarching purpose in your life and is fueling you towards greater self-development, is challenging you to kind of release some old habits basically. And I really feel like those habits, they could be financial, they could be eating habits. The second house can have to deal with both of those things. They could have to deal with what you prioritize in your day. So maybe you prioritize kind of the things that you shouldn't and spend too much time on your phone or a computer when you should be, developing some aspect of yourself or working on something that you said you wanted to do. But there's a sense of kind of having awareness, especially with Venus squaring Uranus in 11th, really having awareness and truth and clarity come around how your priorities maybe need to shift. And also, if your friends are a part of that, if your friendships need to shift, or how you hang out with them, how you spend time with them, how they influence you or how you let them influence you, maybe that needs to shift as well. Because sometimes the way that we spend our time, spend our money, prioritize things, can very much be impacted by the people around us. So there's some kind of message here where it's important to be truthful and honest with yourself about how you're operating your life and how other people can be influencing that. And if you need to let something go or let someone go in order to be able to focus on the things that matter. And I can see that here with the Knight of Wands and the Nine of Pentacles. This is somebody who goes with the Knight of Wands in reverse. This is somebody who goes from being really impulsive, doing whatever they want, following whatever mood they're in, kind of like they cater to their whims. They don't really try to put any kind of like discipline, right? They don't try to say no to themselves. You go from used to being like that to the Nine of Pentacles. So you come out of this energy, you come into self-discipline, saving your money, working more on a side hustle maybe, or doing something that can help you in the long term. There's a sense of like delaying the gratification, being really aware of how your decisions now are impacting your future and making you who you are. So there is a sense here of becoming really in control of yourself. And I think largely this is due to the fact that you're letting some bad habits or some actions go or some relationships go that were kind of distracting and feeding into that old self that really isn't suiting you anymore. And it's time to make a plan and go out and basically achieve that. And the only way you're going to be able to do that is if you free up the time, the space, and the energy by removing some of these old kind of stagnant or even toxic things that could get in the way of that concentration and that discipline. So that is what I'm seeing for you, Cancer. I hope this resonates. If it does, I'd love to hear from you down below. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, up next we have Leo rising and sun sign. This Leo new moon that's happening on August 4th is taking place in your first house if you're a Leo rising. And this is a time where I feel like you are really in your element. You are meant to be connecting to your true desire nature, which Leo is a fire sign. It's connected to its passion, to its heart, towards what it really, really wants. And that's what I see with this Arrows card. And this could have to deal with sexuality as well. So maybe there's someone that is interesting you, or you're just experiencing desire nature in a more carnal sense. But desire nature can also translate into any area of our life. And I really feel like this is a time when that's going to be very clear and potent and strong for you guys. And it's important to be tuning into that and listening to what wants to come out of that experience. What is this trying to get you to do? Because this is all about action. This new moon, which is in your first, which is all about the self, is sextiling Mars and Jupiter in your 11th. So there's some kind of action here that you need to take, very likely in a social context with this 11th house. It could have to deal with goals as well. So it doesn't just have to be that. It could be something that you've always wished, you've always dreamed of doing or having or being. And so you take action towards that. Or it could be more relational. So I've always wanted to have this kind of friend or this kind of relationship. So I'm going to promote myself, put myself out there, connect with people, network. So there's a sense here of you guys needing to really tune in to what you desire, what you are passionate about, and how you can take steps towards making that happen right now. And I feel like all of us, if you haven't watched the overview, please do. I feel like all of us, to some extent, have not recently been as much like fully acting on something that we want. Some of us have been judging our feet, lying to ourselves, making excuses, doing it sometimes, not other times. And I feel like there's something with you guys where you've kind of had like maybe some broken promises with the Temperance in reverse and Knight of Pentacles in reverse. There's some kind of energy here of like, yeah, I'll get to that later. I'll do that later. Or, indulging in some area of your life a little bit too much, but not in this other area that feels important for you. So there's something here where I feel like you guys have kind of felt maybe a little off kilter, like, oh, I'm working so much so I don't have time for my passions, or I'm so obsessed with this relationship that I don't have time for my creative life, or I'm so into my creative life that I don't have time for my relationship. So something here where your life, I feel like, has been a little bit out of balance, off kilter. And with the Knight of Pentacles, you can kind of like lack follow through or break promises to yourself around your just like around your commitment to something. This could also have to deal with just being like unreliable, again, not following through, feeling like you are impatient, like you want something right now, but you're not willing to put in the work. There's a sense of like I'm not showing up consistently for this. I'm not patient for this. I'm not doing what it takes for this. And I'm just getting frustrated at the lack of results. And so I feel like that's been some like an energy in some area of your life around something that you've really, really wanted, that makes you feel passionate, that makes you feel like you are alive. And I honestly think it's because you have a lot to juggle with this Two of Pentacles. And so part of your message here is that there needs to be a little bit of a shift, I think, in your work life, because you do have Venus in the first squaring Uranus in the 10th. So there's some kind of truth or realization that you have around your goals and your career, especially, and the things that you've been working on, and how you maybe need to make time for something else. It's possible with the Queen of Pentacles and Two of Pentacles that you maybe need to work two jobs, or that you have your current job and then something on the side, or you need to change your schedule, or make time, make room for this thing in your life that you care a lot about, and essentially prioritize it, but not just saying like, I want to do it and this is super important to me, but maybe there's something you can do where you tell your boss, like, I can't work on Fridays, or can I leave a little bit early, or maybe you just try to get up earlier before work, so you make sure that you get your stuff done before work. There's this focus on yourself here that is super, super important. And if you don't do that, I think you'll be really disappointed. But I think you ultimately will, and you'll learn how to juggle these things quite well. But at first, it might feel like things are really imbalanced. Like it's kind of leaning more lopsided towards one area. And now it's like, okay, I have to carve out the time or change the way that I work. And some of you might not have that option, but that is kind of recommended. If you can change the way that you work, the times that you work, how you work, your schedule somehow to fit this thing in that you really want to accomplish or do, or to, even if it's another career venture, but it's a different project that kind of takes away from your original one, that's, I feel like, where the focus and energy really needs to go. So yes, that is what I'm seeing for you guys. I hope that this is helpful. If it is, please let me know your situation down below. I'm always curious how this manifests for you. Please also don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, next we have Virgo rising and sun. This Leo new moon that's happening on August 4th is taking place in your 12th house. And I definitely feel like it's stirring some stuff up for you guys, because the first card that I pulled is the Tower, and the 12th house, whenever I see like a new moon, and especially a full moon on the 12th, there can be a lot of emotions that get drawn up, a lot of things that we felt like we were over, or that we didn't think about anymore. We kind of compartmentalized it. It can all get kind of drudged back up. And interestingly, I also pulled the Father. So there could be something here specifically related to your father that has been coming up recently. With the Tower card, things that you maybe fear from that, or emotions from a difficult situation in regards to your father is possible. But it doesn't have to represent the father specifically. The father is the part of ourself that, or our life, that takes care of us, that creates some kind of like structure or container that makes us feel protected and safe. But then in this guidebook, it also talks about this archetype being absent, not being there when we need them, and kind of how it embodies this duality of both the protector and the one that kind of leaves us to the wolves, it specifically said. So there's a sense of being vulnerable, but also wanting to be protected, and how there's this duality of life and duality of nature, and maybe of our past in some kind of way. So I feel like what this Tower card represents is maybe this an experience in our past where we had a situation like this take place, where we thought someone or something or some situation was going to be the savior, maybe not the savior, but the protector, the one that gives security. And instead, at times, maybe it was that, but then at times, maybe it was also the thing that made us feel unsafe, and the thing that kind of threw us off in our life, and created instability in our life. So there's something here where I feel like you guys have had some kind of experience where maybe it was solid and then it wasn't anymore. Like the rug was ripped out from under you, or there was some kind of shock to the system, or there was some kind of, I felt so loved by this person and then I felt so rejected by them. And it's like kind of like a 180, basically, the duality of it being the thing that gives you the love to being the one that breaks your heart. There's this sense here of something like this having happened to you in the past that I think is ultimately kind of influencing you now with the Page of Swords. This like vigilance here of being wary, of being on alert, of waiting to use the sword of discernment. Like, is this thing going to hurt me? Is that thing going to hurt me? from that shock of the Tower. So there's something here where I feel like there is an experience that you guys may have had that really, again, pulled the rug out from under you and made you wary, made you cautious, made you on alert. What's interesting though is this is talking about the past. We do have obviously some cards about the future and the now. And what this Tower card did for you guys is it gave you this Fool. I asked for a clarifier and I got the Fool, which is about a brand new beginning, a clean slate. So whatever this did for you was it gave you a kind of new lease on life, a new opportunity in life. It gave you an opportunity that maybe you wouldn't have had if this thing didn't leave your life or if this disappointment didn't happen. Maybe it gave you a totally new perspective or set you on a totally different path than you were considering going. It like altered the trajectory of your life in some kind of way, but it helped you start over, start fresh, and have a clean slate. So yes, I think there is some emotions or things that we're carrying with us from whatever this event was in the past, which is why it can be triggered during this new moon, because things like this are usually stored in the 12th house where this new moon is taking place. So those things can still be within us. But ultimately, I feel like there is this catalyst of using that event to move your life forward, to especially because this new moon is sextiling Mars and Jupiter in your 10th, which is all about forward progress, forward momentum. This could be, buying a new house, moving somewhere new. This could be starting a business or starting a new project or going after this big life goal that you've always wanted. There's a sense of projectiling your life forward in a fast way. And I really feel like you're using whatever this difficult experience was, whatever this thing was, you're using that and you are learning from it in order to be able to kind of like, I don't know, I think whatever it did, it created maybe more self-awareness, maybe more curiosity. Again, it kind of opened you up to a new path that you wouldn't have gone on otherwise. But whatever that thing was, it acted almost as like fuel right now to get this new kind of venture going for yourself. And it really is the ultimate reason why I think you're going to be able to achieve something really substantial over this next year with Jupiter in your 10th house. So this circumstance, I think, ultimately is feeding into your success. And I can see that with the Six of Wands and the Page of Pentacles. There's something new that I think you're trying, that you're putting out there with this Page of Pentacles that is in the material world that you're investing in, that feels like it's a physical opportunity. And with the Six of Wands, you're successful at it. It's something that's, you're hitting the ground running and it's your green lights all the way. It's becoming again, a success of some sort. And I think it's because of this transformation that happened within you because of that kind of shock or that loss or that change or that new path that opened up for you or that thing that ended. It gave way for this new beginning to take place and for you to have the self-awareness or the tools or the experience necessary to make something successful in your life that I ultimately feel like is really going to be successful. Venus is squaring Uranus in the 9th. So I feel like you're seeing the truth of like the meaning behind all of this. Why did this happen? Where is this leading me? What is the purpose of all this? And I feel like you're gaining you're gaining more like hope and awareness as a result of understanding how this fits into the bigger picture. You also have the Wheel of Fortune and the Ace of Wands. So again, something here is becoming successful for you guys. Some kind of opportunity that you're excited about, some kind of new beginning, some kind of spark for you guys that's creative is with this Wheel of Fortune card is going to be successful. It does have this energy of potential, and not just potential, but like things are turning in your favor now. So whatever you guys get out of this message, it's that whatever you're trying to embark on next will be successful. And it might be as a result of honestly something quite painful from your past that redirected your energy or taught you something about yourself in some kind of way. Super quick last message. You have Jupiter in the 10th squaring Saturn and Pisces in the 7th. So there is some kind of goal here that I feel like others might be a part of. And you're going to have to really draw on your resources through others and understand that you need to communicate or collaborate or compromise in some kind of way with others in order to make this thing happen in the way that is realistic. So that's another quick side message. So that's what I'm seeing for you, Virgo. If that resonates, I'd love to hear from you down below. Please don't forget to also like and subscribe, share this with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, up next we have Libra, rising, and sun. For you guys, this Leo new moon happening on August 4th is taking place in your 11th house of friends and ultimately of relationships in general. And I really pulled a ton of cups cards and just relationship oriented cards. So this very much feels like a time where there's a new beginning or kind of like new leaf being turned over in your relationships in some kind of way. I feel like you guys may have felt that you've been overcoming some kind of emotional hardship in relationships. Venus is in your 11th, squaring Uranus in the 8th. So there could be some ultimate truths that are revealed around these kind of maybe crises or darker emotions or difficult experiences or uncertainties or insecurities that have come up in your relationships recently, especially with the South Node moving through your sign. Quite a bit of our patterns can come up in relationships, and we start to recognize where we might feel disempowered, because Libra can be so good at coming together that it can lose its power sometimes in a dynamic with others. It can give so much. It can compromise so much. It can be what the other person wants them to be. And sometimes it can lose sight of what it really wants, what it really needs, what they really desire in that connection. And I feel like ultimately with the South Node moving through your sign, you may have had realizations over this past year of that happening in some of your dynamics, and really like going into this hermit mode of self-reflection and kind of seeing how you might be perpetuating certain things, or you might be playing a certain role within your dynamics that you feel like is becoming outdated or stagnant or not helping your life. And with this Mountain card, again, I feel like you have kind of been going through it like in relationships, and it doesn't have to be in a negative way, but it's almost like you're trying to get to the peak of the mountain. You're trying to accomplish something. Maybe you want to have a really stable relationship. Maybe you want to have a good working relationship. Maybe you want to get married or have some kind of, just achieve something, or like build something, have something really solid. And in that process, naturally going up the mountain and going through that accomplishment, we have to encounter trials. We have to have things that, make us unsteady or make us tired or make us question things. And they build up that strength in that commitment in the relationship or within yourself at least. And so it's like I feel like you've been building yourself up. You've been developing tools. You've been strengthening your relationships, but it's as a result of things being tested to begin with, or things being emotionally challenged to begin with, or having these revelations, or having 10 of Cups in reverse, a disharmony with others when all we want is a 10 of Cups upright. We just want people to get along. We just want things to be easy. So there's this feeling of like you've done a lot of reflection around your role in relationships and your patterns in relationships through these crises or through these tests and through the disharmony in order to get to something. And that's what I feel like this new moon is really highlighting for you, with this new moon being in the 11th house of relationships and connections and sextiling Mars and Jupiter in the 9th. It's helping you have kind of like a higher purpose, a deeper truth and a wisdom and intuition around your connections. It helps you have greater faith and hope around your connections. It's just generally, I feel like, really improving a lot of your relationships and overcoming as well. Again, some of these patterns where with the Queen of Wands in reverse, where you may have been a little bit more like reactive or insecure or come from a unstable place. So Queen of Wands in reverse could be demanding, it could be deceitful, it could be temperamental, it could be somebody who's overwhelmed, who feels like they're taking on too much. Lots of different ways that can manifest. You'll know yourself, but there's a sense of that has been playing a role in relationships, and you're seeing how you're ready to overcome that. You're ready to move past any of those dynamics that could involve some of those feelings or behaviors, and come out into something that feels a lot more like even, a lot more matched. With the Queen of Cups and the Lovers, it feels like coming into a place where you're feeling much more emotionally mature and resourced, and like you are again meeting your equal and having this true kind of love match or relationship match, and feeling like you're working together as a team. You've overcome these difficulties on your hike up the mountain. There's a sense of like things paying off in regards to you listening to your heart, following your heart around what is right for you relationship wise, setting different boundaries, and having again that awareness of your own part in all of it. And ultimately, it will bring you together in the strongest way possible. So I feel like this is a time where you're going to have great connection and truths about what is in the way of that connection, and a powerful experience of feeling just like a lot more aligned with the people around you. So that is what I'm saying for you, Libra. If that resonates, I'd love to hear from you down below. Please also remember to subscribe, like this video, and share with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, I'm going to say Scorpio rising and sun. This Leo new moon's happening in your 10th house, which does indicate some kind of new beginnings in your career. And this new moon is on August 4th. So some kind of like new career beginnings, or making some connections with people in good higher places, having some kind of, solid ground goal wise that you are making progress on. But what's interesting is that I feel like the cards that are coming out are really focusing more on the fact that this moon is making a sextile to Mars and Jupiter in your 8th house. So really what I feel like is happening here is you're having some kind of like forward momentum, some kind of progress or achievement, or some kind of new ground being laid in your career or your goals or your life objectives. And it's stirring up some stuff within you around your own shadow that needs to be overcome in order for you to continue to move forward with confidence. And I definitely see that because the 8th house is extremely shadowy. And I also pulled this shadow card. So this is a time at this new moon to dive into the shadow self and to look at parts of the self that you have been denying, that you have not wanted to acknowledge within yourself, that you have not really fully absorbed or looked at. And I feel like a lot of this has come from stuff from the past. Yeah, the 8th house is really where we store a lot of emotions from the past. The 8th, the 4th, and the 12th house all store emotions from the past. The 8th in particular is like things that have happened that have undermined our confidence, that have made us feel maybe vulnerable in a way where we were taken advantage of, or we were hurt because of our vulnerability, and so we put up walls. It's a house where there's quite a bit of fears of kind of like our nightmares happening to us, and of being weakened again in some kind of way. And I feel like there's something in your life that has happened with the Ace of Swords, the Tower, that you maybe thought was the right move or the right decision, or you wanted something that you went towards, or you kind of committed to an idea that you had, but then it didn't end up. It's like the decision wasn't the right one, or the thought that you had, or the thing that you said wasn't the right thing, and it led to some kind of ending or some kind of thing falling all apart and not really being the way you wanted it to. So something in your life where you kind of were the one to instigate the ending, where you had the idea, you made the decision, you had the conversation, you followed through on something, or you said something, and then it all kind of like didn't work out, and that could be on a really dramatic scale or not that dramatic. It kind of depends on you personally. And then I feel like you get into this energy, and this is again talking about the past with the Knight of Swords, where I don't know, this is like somebody who is really fast. Like they are somebody who maybe went into something really quickly. They kind of dove straight in, and yeah, I'm a little curious about what this Knight of Swords represents. I'm not 100% sure. So if you have an idea of what that is, but it's, yeah, one of the meanings of this card is to get really single-minded, and I feel like that can be a Scorpio trait. There can be this kind of obsessive quality to Scorpio where oh, that thing happened. Let me ruminate on it and get really like focused on it and not let it go. And there's some kind of message here, I feel like, around if there was something in the past that didn't work out, especially when it comes to like other people and relationships and emotions, around friendships or connections of some sort. If there's something that happened in regards to that like, again, didn't work out or that upset you or that whatever, I feel like you are needing to let some of that go, because the next cards is kind of the transformation that you're going through. And we have the Queen of Swords in reverse and the Ten of Swords, which is an ending. So there's something about like being overly pessimistic or critical or like lacking empathy or having trauma that you have repressed from the past, from your childhood or whatever, that I feel like that has seeped into your relationships, and almost like you've held onto a grudge or held onto kind of this like sludgy, toxic, sticky emotions that keep you from moving forward and keep you from embracing life. This resentment, this, this grudge kind of feeling. There's something that it might not be in regards to a person, but that you might just hold on to things too much. You might have had things happen in relationships that are continuing to infiltrate your relationships even to this day. And that's somehow affecting your ability to move forward in your life. This could be committing to somebody new. This could be committing to some kind of new career path, but feeling like your relationship life isn't really on board with that. There's something here where your life is trying to progress. You have certain goals, things that you want to move forward with, but you're having these truth and realizations with Venus in the 10th squaring Uranus in 7th. You're having truth and realizations around how you can't fully move forward until you liberate yourself from these things from the past, from these difficult emotions, and especially if they come up in relationships, seeing how you might be playing into that and like recycling things within your dynamic with others that you need to let go of so that you can be free from them, and so you can finally progress in some kind of way that is going to feel really liberating, really, really liberating. So I see you ending some kind of cycle of maybe being overly critical or being so pessimistic, like they're not going to want to hang out with me, or they're not going to like me, or I'm not even going to try that because I'm not even going to succeed. I see this like this mentality that has been shaped by difficult experiences from the past, that you almost don't trust yourself in a way, or like I feel like you got overly zoomed in on something and single-minded about something that you don't realize that you're biased in some kind of perspective, and it's time to shake off that negative bias and come into a clean slate with its Ten of Swords, fully leave that in the past and be able to heal part of that shadow self that's trying to protect you, that might be, preventing you from moving forward in certain ways because of its fears, or it's kind of like, again, obsessive focus on something, or its reactiveness to something. This is a time to really get into the nitty-gritty of what that shadow self is doing in your life, how it's impacting your relationships, how it's impacting your emotions, and how that ultimately is kind of stalling you from fully embracing and moving forward in life and these kind of new career ventures and other endeavors that are amazing, kind of risk-taking times to progress your life and a really good period of time. But it's like you really need to see how the shadows can get in the way of some of this kind of lightness that's trying to come through for you. So that is what I see for you, Scorpio. If that resonates, I'd love to hear from you down below in the comments. Please don't forget to subscribe, like this video, share with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, I'm next to Sagittarius rising and sun. For you guys, this Leo new moon happening on August 4th is taking place in your 9th house. And it's interesting because one of the first cards I pulled was the Thread, which talks about meaning in the chaos. And you guys, anything in the 9th house is where we attribute meaning to something, where we have a higher faith, a religion, a philosophy for life. And so having a new moon here to me indicates like finding meaning amongst something, making sense of something, and feeling like there is something greater to live for, feeling like there's a bigger purpose behind why maybe stuff from the past happened. I also pulled the Kairos card, which talks about time. So there is something here around things having to be the right timing and understanding, I think making sense of like why things in the past didn't work out the way that you wanted them to, why maybe something has taken this long, or there was some hiccup along the way, and now there's an unfolding that I think is making you really connect with divine timing and understand how everything has to fall into place, and everyone else in our life also has to be at a certain place in their life for things to make sense. So it's multiple timelines interacting with one another, and I feel like you're going to kind of get a little bit of an understanding of that at this new moon, like a purpose and a meaning and an understanding of why things had to play out the way that they did. This new moon is also sextiling Mars and Jupiter in Gemini in your 7th house. So again, very much pulling in this whole idea of other people into the timeline and how they play a big role here. But I think ultimately it is a time where I think you're going to find that relationships with others are improving. Your home life with others may be improving. But yeah, there's this general sense of like the understanding why those things happen when they did, and how this all plays a role in our relationships and connections with people, and how we can draw on our faith for, and our truth also, for creating greater connections for, yeah. One of the things that I see is that I feel like there may have been some kind of imbalance where you might have felt like, with the 10 of Pentacles in reverse, 9 of Pentacles upright, you might have felt like something was a little bit off in regards to your relationships. So this is kind of, I see this as somebody who's withdrawing from family and focusing more on themselves. So like, let's say, and this could be like extended family, for example, not if you have kids, like not like withdrawing from your kids, but this 10 of Pentacles in reverse is usually feeling like there might be some kind of like domestic dispute, or this kind of, just this a little bit of this imbalance within the home where family feuds can happen, especially around money stuff. If that is a thing, if there's inheritance or whatever like that, whatever thing like that, there's a sense of the normal, stable relationships with our family, the feeling really supported, feeling really connected, feeling really lifted up by them is maybe not there. And this could be, if you don't have family around you, this could be community or something else of that nature, some other relationship that is normally a support system. Maybe it had a little bit of this like disconnect. Maybe you felt like you haven't seen friends as much. Maybe you don't talk to your family as much as you used to. And this could be the past energy as well. But the 9 of Pentacles is somebody who's really independent, very self-reliant, takes care of everything financially themselves, isn't getting help from outside when maybe that's something that was there before. So there's this sense of like, I'm doing it on my own, and maybe I'm not. So yeah, that's one thing in terms of relationships. Another is that maybe I am making it all happen on my own financially. I'm not trying to like do it with others or find abundance with others. I'm really being very self-sufficient. So financially or emotionally or on every level, there's a sense of relying on oneself that I feel like you were in. But now with this moon sextiling Mars and Jupiter in the 7th, this is enhancing relationships, enhancing collaboration. With the new moon being in the 9th, I also feel like it's a time of greater prosperity. The 5th, 9th houses and the way that they aspect the ascendant are extremely lucky and auspicious houses, and they tend to represent times of growth, and the 11th house as well. So 5th, 9th, 11th houses, new moons happening there tend to be more auspicious and beneficial. So you are in a period where I think things are becoming again, like they're growing in some kind of way, they're enhancing in some kind of way. So your relationships, your sense of faith, your understanding of why things have happened, and your peace with your life, all those things can really kind of click into place, and in a way that I think is going to bring you together with others and make you feel more prosperous on your path. So what's happening for you, I see this 5 of Pentacles in reverse. So you're coming out of a time where you were maybe feeling like a lack. Maybe I felt more alone. I didn't have as many resources financially, or maybe I felt like my relationships weren't there for me as much as I needed them to be. there's this, or my health wasn't as good as it could be. That support system that I feel like you were lacking before, you're coming out of that and you're building that back up. And with the Sun and the Four of Wands, I really feel like this is helping your vitality. This is helping your confidence. This is helping your career. This is helping your clarity and knowing what you want to do next, especially being the ninth house, the house of clarity and truth. And with the Four of Wands, this is coming together. This is celebration. This is getting married. There's a sense of this familial connection or loved ones connection. So I feel like that's what this journey is for you guys. It's coming out of an era of feeling like something was maybe like you had to do a lot of it on your own, and maybe you didn't have enough resources or enough support or enough positive health or positive energy. And that's starting to shift at the time of this new moon. You're starting to gain that support, that companionship, that positive health and energy, and really help move your life forward in a positive direction. So that is what I'm seeing for you, Sagittarius. If that resonates for you, I'd love to hear from you down below. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe, share with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, and I still have Capricorn rising and sun. This Leo new moon that's happening on August 4th is taking place in your 8th house. And I really feel like anytime we have a new moon in the 8th house, we are kind of getting a little bit of this emotional wake-up call, especially when it comes to things that we have kind of like let undermine our own personal power. And with this being a new moon in Leo, which is all about having our like following our desires and expressing different aspects of ourselves, actualizing different aspects of the self that we've really always wanted. I feel like if there's been things that have gotten in the way of that, this new moon is going to help you uncover the truth of what is behind that. This card specifically talks about the truth, and 8th house Scorpio energy tends to have to deal with what is actually true, what's underneath the surface of something. So I feel like what one of the messages is going to be for you guys with Venus in the 8th squaring Uranus in the 5th is maybe a truth or revelation in particular around escapism. Escapism into things that bring us pleasure, to things that are more immediate, to things that kind of have us running away. So this could be like going on holiday or going on a date or picking up a new hobby or socializing. These things that they're not inherently negative at all. They're actually really positive. But when we do them so much, or we do them as an avoidance tactic, they are negative in the sense that they can prevent us from, again, expressing or actualizing some part of ourself that we really desire or crave to express or to bring to life in some kind of way. And I see that with the Six of Swords and the Death card, that you are transforming this. You're bringing an end to the running away, to the running towards pleasure, or using these kind of modes of enjoying life that are, again, important to have a balanced life, but can also be used as a tool for checking out in some kind of way, or being distracted, being busy, being, just like not having the energy to put towards something super important to us because we have so many other things to do, right? And so I feel like you guys are going to have the truth and the revelation come to you at this time around that pattern. What's going to come next is I think that you guys are going to become a lot more disciplined and start to make this make your dream, that thing that wants to be expressed, the thing that wants to be created or actualized. You're going to make that a reality. And, with Jupiter in the 6th squaring Saturn in the 3rd, it's creating a routine around this and also trying to get into the right headspace. So recognizing that there has to be a disciplined mind and actions within the day to follow through with this, and getting like all of yourself on board from the mental perspective to the daily structure of your life perspective. And I pulled the King of Wands. So and the Nine of Swords and the Judgment. So I really feel like you're having awakening and realization as to how you have, like what exactly you've been running from. With this new moon being in the 8th house, usually there's some kind of fear or anxiety or, powerlessness that can come from the 8th house that you're becoming aware of. The King of Wands is someone who's really energetic, really optimistic, really confident. So I definitely feel like you're stepping more into this energy. But in order to do that, you have to overcome what you feel like is the worst case scenario. You have to confront that emotionally first. And I think ultimately that's what real confidence is being able to see the potential outcomes and still be confident anyway. Um, not running from them, not ignoring those potential outcomes, looking at them, making peace with them, and deciding to move forward with confidence and passion because that is what is important to you. With the Judgment card, this is about somebody having some kind of like awakening, some kind of self-realization, self-evaluation, where they're almost becoming renewed in their mind and in their spirit. So there's something about this where you are having to confront those fears of the worst case scenario and transform your energy around that, not buckle under it, overpower them, and realize where your personal power is in the situation. And importantly, not judge yourself for having those fears or those feelings or those escapist tendencies, but instead own them, see them, and transform them through the power of forgiveness and compassion. And I really feel like you're going to find that you will have a lot more confidence as a result of looking at all of these truths, fully owning them, and forgiving yourself for any actions you've taken as a result of some of these fears. And then I think you'll be able to move past them in a way where you're going to be this King of Wands energy, where you're going to be the leader. You're going to be strong, confident, friendly, charming, funny, kind, all those things, proud, passionate, all those things that might be hard to access when living in more of the fear energy or the shadow energy or the running energy. So that's what I see you guys moving into. Super, super powerful for you guys. If that resonates, I'd love to hear from you in the comments down below. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up on this video, subscribe, share with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, up next we have Aquarius rising and sun. This Leo new moon happening on August 4th is taking place in your 7th house of relationships. And super interesting because, well, this is a new beginning in relationships. And I pulled the Shaman card, and one of the shadow sides of the Shaman card is blaming others. This can happen with the 7th house. There can be quite a lot of mirroring or projection that happens when it comes to relationships. We can find that there is, just the stuff outside of us we can blame for things. And it's easy to do that in partnership. One of the other things that I think is the higher side of this is all about healing aspects of relationships and putting into practice the things that you feel like are these divine wisdom, putting it into practice, embodying that in your daily life, in your relationships, learning in your relationships, and not getting stuck, right? I feel like this whole Leo new moon is about really listening to our hearts. And when we get into the shadow side of Leo, we can get stuck in the ego, and we can have these kind of egoic battles where we don't want to take ownership of things because of our pride, or we don't want to let something go because of our pride. And so there's a sense here of really, I feel like, healing any of those patterns in many ways. And ultimately, this new moon is sextiling Mars and Jupiter in the 5th. There is a potential for having like a beautiful new relationship come through with an energy like this, and feeling like we are just able to really be ourselves. And with Mars and Jupiter in the 5th, we are also celebrating this idea of being supported, of being adored, of being cherished. And so that's the energy that I feel like you are moving into, is maybe the patterns or the issues in relationships or the blame or anything like that that created separation or created this maybe over reliance on the self, because that can be an Aquarius thing, or created codependency with the devil card as well, like unhealthy attachments to certain people or things. I feel like that is trying to be healed at this new moon, becoming aware of unhealthy attachment and realizing what true partnership is. So instead of kind of like the mirroring and the blaming and maybe being codependent or being super isolated or whatever that is, like any of these patterns of behavior within relationships, I feel like are getting rewritten. And more focus on the long term. So if you've been stuck in patterns that relate to just like seeking, comfort or immediate pleasure or doing what's best right now and not for the future, I feel like you're coming out of that and thinking more about longevity, like who is my person long term, or is this way of being going to work for me long term in relationships? Yeah, it's like really kind of understanding and healing one's patterns and taking ownership where you can. And with Venus in the 7th squaring Uranus in the 4th, it does likely indicate that there needs to be kind of like an emotional pattern rewrite, where maybe things were like this within your family and now you have to kind of rewire how things were done or how you process things or how you view things. And once you do that with the 10 of Swords and the 10 of Pentacles, you're going to have a full and complete ending of any of this kind of stuck energy with that devil card, any of this stuff that maybe kept you going in a cycle with someone that wasn't right, or maybe you were acting out some poor habits and again, maybe projecting some stuff or blaming some stuff or whatever it was. It's going to look different for all of you. I feel like you're ending that with this 10 of Swords and you're fully coming into this phase of true supported relationship with the 10 of Pentacles. This is a time where you might be also focusing on financial abundance for yourself. So let's say it's not just about partnership. This could also indicate you with Jupiter in the 5th squaring Saturn in the 2nd, you really focusing your energy into achieving some kind of financial status. So it could either be with family that you really feel like more supported there, within relationships, or financially, but there's something that you're building that's really strong here, that's really stable here, that can support you. And that ultimately is going to reflect back on the kinds of relationships that you are a part of. So I hope that makes sense. You guys are coming out of a phase where I think you are getting out of some bad habits within relationships, focusing more on the long term, focusing on your financial security and on creating those strong familial or even romantic relationships in your life. So that's what I'm seeing for you, Aquarius. If this resonates, I'd love to hear from you in the comments down below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, up next we have Pisces, rising and sun. This Leo new moon happening on August 4th is taking place in your 6th house. And the 6th house generally has to deal with things that feel quite concrete, like our health or our work, the things that we put a lot of energy and time to each day, the things that we work on, that we become disciplined in. And this feels, again, very material when we kind of pair it with the signs. It's the house associated with Virgo, which is an earth sign. So again, material reality. However, there's something that I feel like maybe within your life right now, with Saturn being in your 1st house, there's something in your life that I think ultimately at this moment may feel like it's unknown, or you're trying to figure it out, or you don't have the answers to something, or you may be in a liminal state of transition with this riddle card. This is talking about kind of needing to figure something out, but it being mysterious and elusive to you. Saturn being in Pisces can put that to the test for all of us, but especially you, Pisces, where there can be things in your life that take some time to figure out and concretize, and that can feel like a little bit hard to navigate, though Pisces often is quite good with that. So I feel like there's something in your life that you're in the transition with, but this new moon in your 6th house, I feel like is still trying to get you to almost create a routine, even in the unknown, or like put the effort in and still try to like make progress or work forward in a time when things are still not landed yet. Like you are in process, but it's still, can we still like get up every day at the same time? Can we still try to make progress on this thing and understand what we can understand and accept what we don't have in our control or what we can't control? yeah, that means the same thing. So yeah, I feel like you guys are ultimately needing to kind of get into a flow here. I feel like you're already really good at being in the flow with the Queen of Cups and the Chariot. Like you're really good at just going with the flow, but I feel like there needs to be some more structure within the flow. It's almost like, instead of just having the river, we have a raft that we're in on the river and we're going somewhere. Whereas the river can maybe hit us up against a rock or throw us up onto the shore or tug us underwater. And there's this feeling of like not being like guidance around taking some kind of control, even within the realm of what you can't predict or control. And so this means that we're trying to make something solid for us and do some of the work, like have some kind of a plan. And I really see that because this is also sextiling Mars and Jupiter in the fourth, which is all about your home and your sense of security and your family and your money. And again, the new moon's happening in the area of work and of discipline and of routine and health. So it's like these areas of life are really solid and they support the other areas of our life. If we don't have a routine, if we don't go to work, if we don't have a house, it's really hard to have the fun stuff, right? And so there's a sense of like needing to create stability, needing to do more like research or put more work into something, create more of a routine around something, have more discipline around something, try to create something solid, even amongst the flowing unknown energy that you might be in the phase of right now. And I see that with the World and the Two of Wands. This is somebody who very much is ready to accomplish something. They have a plan. They know what they want. They know where they're going. So they can direct this kind of unknown energy into something a little bit more contained. I feel like it's even hard to explain because it really is giving me this energy of things being an enigma. So Venus is in the sixth, squaring Uranus in the third. I feel like you guys, there's some truth that's being revealed with Venus square Uranus. And I think it's around the third house quality, which is quite like adaptable and curious and sometimes reactive and just kind of like in flux. The third house is the house of travel and of movement. So some of you guys this is like a great example of this is somebody who's on a long vacation and needing to make a routine on this trip that they're on. They're not permanent there, but they need to create some structure within this state of flow or transition that they're in while traveling. That's like a really embodied example. Or somebody between houses, for example, and you have like half your life packed up and you feel like you're just kind of, it's a little chaotic. It's like trying to create structure and routine and purpose and maybe not purpose, but just, the structure to within what you can. So yeah, that's what I feel like this is trying to tell you guys. And with Jupiter in the fourth squaring Saturn in your first, this could involve you kind of developing more of that within yourself as well. Because as a Pisces, you can be so go with the flow that it's putting you to the test right now. It's putting you in a situation that you have to go with the flow, but can you also bring in some of the Saturn embodied energy within that? Can you also have a plan within that flow and then adapt it as you go? So it's like really living out your Saturn to create this kind of security for yourself with Jupiter in the fourth. So I hope that makes sense. If it does, please comment down below if it resonates. Please also give me a thumbs up, subscribe, share with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Bye.